The scandal over a leaked book on the Vatican has intensified. Allegedly, it reveals how insiders are trying to block reforms called for by Pope Francis himself. The book also makes claims against greedy senior clergy and the naming of saints. The book's called The Merchants in the Temple. It's by the journalist Gianluigi Nuzzi. The Vatican's described it as, and these are the words, the fruit of a grave betrayal of trust given by the Pope. Some people might be talking about the trust of over 1 billion Catholics being betrayed by certain high-ranking Catholic figures. But let's bring in someone now who can maybe give us some analysis of this. Journalist at Paris Match, author, Caroline Pagozzi. You just interviewed Pope Francis less than 10 days ago, which is obviously
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. It's a remarkable honour to meet such a remarkable man. What do you think's actually going on at the Vatican? Do you feel there's this kind of wave of anti-Francis feeling?
Yes, half of the Vatican doesn't like him because he says things, and he says in a very brutal way. It doesn't speak like usually cardinal speaks, or he has his own language. And he was a priest on the street, so he knows exactly what's going on, and he always says he hates social things, mundanity, So, and he gives the example because he doesn't live in the Vatican Palace. He lives in another house behind, which is called Domo Santa Marta, which is not luxury. So, of course, it's not pleasant for the people who have been sleeping more or less for years and years in this place with a different mentality.
I really wish that I could one day meet him and ask the questions that you put to him. It's a remarkable honour to meet the Pope. But you, obviously, face-to-face with the man, must have got a real feeling about what his power is, his personal power, his personal energy in order to change the Catholic Church.
I followed him since he became Pope. I traveled a lot with him, take the plane many times. And he always had the same language, and he wants to make things, and he hasn't changed. But the thing is that people doesn't know how he is really, and he is very strong, and he is a Jesuit. You must never forget that.
Indeed.
As he said, the first day he's coming from South America. It doesn't belong to the ambience of the Vatican, so he doesn't care about what people say, and he never, when he was in Rome before he was elected, he never used to live in Vatican, so he doesn't care about these people being nice to them. He wants to go on, and he wants to change the Vatican.
So we have an image of the Vatican as a big lake. Pope Francis is this bit of stone that's thrown into it and creates a big splash.
Yes,
the danger is that the lake will just smooth over again one day, and he won't change anything. That's the danger, isn't it?
I think he's going to change, not as much as he wants, but at least a third of it, which is not so bad.
The fact that he had you along, talks to you, Paris Match, a magazine that is known worldwide for its exclusive stories, it's good journalism, strong journalism. You're there, he's opening up to Paris Match. That says something, doesn't it, about how he views his role?
Yes, of course. I think he was more happy to give it to Paris Match than to a La Croix and to a religious magazine, because he knows it's very, Paris Match talks to everyone, and if you do it in La Croix, it's really different. And we have been in the bookshop, dans les kiosks for 2 weeks, which was exceptional, because usually we stay 1 week, so we stayed half a month, which is not too bad, with the photo of the Pope on all the kiosks of France. It was not a good idea. I know he didn't do it on purpose, but at least it's a good idea.
These leaks, these stories, what this book is going to say, the revelations, perhaps confirming what some skeptical people think about high-ranking church figures, about corruption, about greed, about using the position for their own gain. Do you think this is going to harm the church? Do you think it will help in some way Pope Francis to make his changes, make his reforms?
Yes, I think it will help a little bit, but the problem is that there has been no control for years and years and years, and it's very strange. For example, the other day I went to the chemist shop in the Vatican, and no one asks you anything. You can go, and then you go away, and you can buy things without tax, and I had a special card because I was working that day at the Osservatore Romano. But if I had no card, you can go, anyone can go, because of if you have a doctor's prescription. You can go, so, things, they say à la grâce de Dieu, and that's on.
Indeed. May God go with everybody. Final question for you, Caroline. I mean, clearly Pope Francis has a common touch, as we say in English. He has a feeling for the people. And he's made certain declarations about, say, homosexuality, about gay people, saying, who is he to judge? One would hope one day he's going to make a pronouncement that says, look, if you're in Africa and you're having sex, don't be afraid to use a condom because it protects you against AIDS. That would be a brilliant thing for him to say. Do you feel that he's the kind of person who has this in his heart, this kind of practical nature?
Yes, absolutely, because he has never been on the topic. Even if it was the Cardinal Archbishop of Buenos Aires, it was on the street. He used to see poor people, and that's what he likes, is to discuss with people. He hates to be in. With very important people. When he was in Buenos Aires, he never used to see the ministers, only if he had things to ask of poor people. He never go to cocktails and parties, whatever. He was in the street with poor people. That's his mission.
Okay, well, let's hope that can get through, because that sounds like, to me, it's got to be good for everybody if people realise that being good to other people is the way ahead. Pope Francis is a remarkable man. Your interview in Parimatch, if people missed it, how can they get it? On the website? Is it parimatch.fr?
Yes.
Parimatch.fr for people who don't understand when I say that in French. Caroline, thank you very much for being with us. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, your analysis, and obviously your insight into Pope Francis, a remarkable man. And Caroline's piece, of course, in the Parimatch website. You can get it, read it, and tell us what you think, of course. Reply to me via Twitter. That'd be brilliant. Caroline, thank you very much indeed.